Hey everyone, welcome to another Guardian live stream. Today we have Robyn returning, and she is going to be talking about how much privacy should you be giving your child. There's a lot of different opinions on this subject. Some parents think that you need to give them a lot of privacy so that you can get their respect, and a lot of children agree with that. We have a lot of one-star ratings from children on our app who tell us how the app is ruining their lives because they have no privacy. Whereas other parents think that children don't deserve any privacy because they are children, and you just can't risk that they will make all the right decisions in this age of the internet, where the slightest mistake can be life altering or life changing. As always, this presentation is presented by Guardian, and that is a parental control app, and it can help you walk that line between monitoring and still providing privacy. You can be as hands-off or as hands-on as you need. And I will speak more about it near the end of Robyn's presentation. And if you have not seen any of our other live streams, we have some other really useful ones with great information about protecting your children from predators, cyberbullying, and we're going to be doing a lot more of these in the future. So make sure you like us on Facebook so that you don't miss any of them, and subscribe to us on YouTube. You can find the videos on both platforms. And now I'm going to hand it off to Robyn.
Thank you, Coley. It's so nice to be here again, speaking with everybody on a topic that I'm so passionate about, safety, cyber safety, and parenting. It's such a difficult thing to do, and talking about it with you today is something I'm very proud to do. I first want to thank all of your parents on the Tech Savvy Facebook page. I really appreciate all the wonderful input and personal stories and opinions that everybody has shared with me prior to this presentation. They were so heartfelt, and I got to tell you, your group of parents on Guardian are the best of the best. They are very loving, attached parents, and this topic is, I believe, something that they are also very passionate about. So I'm so happy to talk to everybody today about this. I'd like to first off just say that with monitoring and privacy, I've had, with raising my own kids, moments where I didn't do things exactly by the book, or I had to try a different strategy, or I found myself apologizing to my child because I crossed a boundary that wasn't one I should have crossed. And parenting can be so difficult. So as I talk to you about terms and general strategies today, I want you to know that while I have education, I'm also a parent, and I know how difficult this job is. And so when we talk about things, I want you to know that we're on the same side. We're a team together working to keep our kids safe on the internet. So first of all, I would like to talk about, kind of define some terms. What's the difference between monitoring versus spying or snooping? And last night I was trying to fall asleep, and I was trying to think of real world examples that we could all relate to, and how it would relate to the cyber world and keeping our children safe. And one thought was that, as our children are growing up, they require us to watch them and watch what they're doing. For example, if a child is learning how to swim, you're not going to just let them go into that swimming pool without being there, being present. And as they gain those skills, of course, instead of being in the pool with them, you might be on the side of the pool making sure they're safe. And so they've earned the privilege of being able to swim on their own because they've developed that skill. And then as they get older, you know, if swimming's a passion of theirs and they develop this, they go to swim classes and swim meets, you know, you might be even watching from the window, or, you know, maybe not needing to watch them as much. And the same thing goes with technology independence. There has to be some sort of monitoring. We don't want to just let them go, because it is such an adult world. Another thought is that I was thinking of our teenagers. You know, with our teenagers, we don't let our kids just run off to a party without knowing the details. You know, for my own kids, I always drove them there. I found out, you know, met the parents, found out what was going on at the party, what the kids were doing, made sure it was a safe home, found out what time they were going to be finished, and whether or not I needed to pick up my kid or not. And so that to me is monitoring. But if you're a parent and while you do those things, you're looking through the window to make sure your child is behaving appropriately, that would really be more of spying or snooping. So if you're looking at, you know, just, we want to make sure that we're sending our child to a safe home, but we don't want to be that helicopter parent that needs to make sure all the time, irregardless of whether or not our child has developed positive pro-social mature behaviors, that we're just spying and snooping on them. You know, I have to say, I have never, ever read my children's diaries. I have never, ever felt the need to go through their belongings in their room. Those are things that deserve privacy. When it comes to cyber safety, because it can be such an unsafe place, you know, and there is a risk of mental manipulation, emotional damage, luring children to unsafe places. You know, it's something that we need to definitely keep an eye on. So there is a balance between monitoring, making sure that everything, you know, all the safety nets are in place, and spying. So and there's a balance here. So if a child at the age of 7 has a cell phone, you know, you may be inclined to do more in-depth monitoring, taking a look at what they're discussing on their phone more often than you would with a 16-year-old who has already earned the privilege of having some technology privacy, because they've already shown you that they have learned to behave in a pro-social, positive way without oversharing, and using the internet for appropriate, mature, positive means. So I just wanted to start with kind of defining those terms. And what we're talking about here is not spying on our children. We're talking about monitoring them for safety, just like you would to make sure they don't drown in a pool. So next, I just want to touch on what's going on with our kids' brains during this time, because they're experiencing mentally something completely different than adults do when given that we have fully formed brains and formal what we call abstract or hypothetical thinking. So I want to touch on what's going on at these particular ages. And the theorist that I really like is Piaget, and he has a theory of cognitive development that really hones in on what mental skills a child has at particular ages. And between the ages of 7 to 11 years, a child develops what's called concrete operational thoughts. And this is where a child learns to think very logically and problem solve. And this is, these are those formative years where they feel they are working towards school success, and they're working on very logical problem solving. So they're not able to think as abstractly and hypothetically, and so things at this age are pretty much at face value. So if a child has a phone at this age and they're conversing with a peer, and that peer tells them that they are stupid, they are not able to reason out, well, that child that called me stupid may have issues of their own, might be just having a bad day, might not have developed appropriate social skills. Maybe they're jealous. And again, how important is this person, that's saying they're stupid? Is it somebody that they're close friends with? Is it somebody that really means something? So to a child who's in this concrete operational stage, to them, they think, oh, well, this kid's saying I'm stupid and I'm not very good at math, so it must be true. They have much more difficulty being able to understand that there's a lot of other influences that come into play when people tell them things in a negative way. So this is the age where, we do really need to pay attention more. More monitoring is needed at this age level if a child has a cell phone, because of the fact that a child may interpret something at face value. So a lot of conversation will need to happen about why, somebody may have said what they've said. So that happens between the years of 7 to 11. The next stage is formal operational thought that happens between 12 to 25 years. Our brains are not fully developed until we're 25 years old, research has shown. And this is just the beginning of our maturational stage of our ability to use our frontal lobe and think abstractly, think hypothetically, and reason and problem solve out things in a grander scope. So, and while this is happening, it's a long process. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not like a light goes on and all of a sudden your child can think very, very philosophically. It takes a long time for this skill to develop. And what happens at this age is, as they're developing these skills, a young adult is developing and figuring out who they are, what their opinions are, what they want to do in life, who they want to be in the world. And because this is such a new thing that they're embracing, it also makes them feel very insecure. And it's almost like what I would call cognitive distortion, or their perception is off. They feel like the world is a stage, and we call it egocentrism. They feel like everybody is looking at them and watching them and judging them, because they're figuring out how the world works and where they fit into the world and who they want to be, and it's all brand new. So this can definitely set up a child for problems emotionally if somebody is cruel to them online and they're going through this stage of development and they feel like everybody's seeing them. So it definitely opens up the possibility of them enduring some anxiety or depression over time if somebody is bullying them and things like that. Their kids at this age are definitely seeking acceptance, and so they can develop maladaptive ways to try to get that acceptance. So monitoring at this age is important. But again, as we're monitoring and our kids are showing us that they're developing appropriate social language with technology, we're going to give them more grace. We're going to let them earn more independence. And that brings me to my next thought, which is privacy is a privilege. And this is something that I've always believed as a parent, that kids have to earn their privacy through showing mature, pro-social, responsible behavior. So if your child is constantly posting things that are inappropriate online, then that their ability to have independence, is going to be less than of a child who is making positive statements to peers and behaving in a mature fashion, developing healthy language online. So, it's all dependent on your child as an individual and how they behave, but it's something that is earned. So with my own children, unfortunately, we didn't have something like Guardian, which I really could have used. It would have been more helpful. My way of monitoring my children on their phones was just to do random phone checks. And unfortunately, it was an invasion of privacy because my children are well behaved. I'm very fortunate to have very well behaved children, and I did feel like it was invading their privacy. But again, we're monitoring. It's not always that we're monitoring their behavior because we don't trust them. It's the rest of the world that we don't trust and that we're protecting them from. So I always reminded my children that that's why we were doing the phone checks. But unfortunately, because I didn't have something like Guardian to send me a little message, this might be a concern, might be something you want to discuss with your child, and then have the discretion, have the ability to decide, well, it's something I need to bring up with my child, or not. Their privacy was much more infringed upon during that time. So Guardian is actually a way of being able to give them more privacy online, I feel. So the next thought is, when it comes to families, we're all on the same team. And I want to really hone in on this. You don't want technology and the internet to become a battlefield where it's you against your child and there's arguments. It should be something that can be enjoyed together, and technology is a wonderful thing, and it can be super entertaining and fun. And I have enjoyed, and I have also learned from my children, because they are much more tech savvy than me, being able to ask them, so so what's your favorite app? Can you show it to me? How does it work? What are some funny posts that you see? And that has been my way. It's made me feel more comfortable about what they're doing actively in cyberspace versus just not knowing and hoping that Guardian is gonna pick up on everything. It gave me a way of knowing and giving me peace of mind that they're using those apps and they're seeing positive, appropriate messages. And it also gave us an opportunity that if there were some inappropriate messages that were noticed while we were talking about what they were seeing online, it was a time for a peaceful discussion of maybe that person shouldn't have said that. Maybe they were oversharing, or maybe that was too negative a thought, or maybe that was mean to somebody else. So it opens up a huge positive dialogue of what is appropriate behavior online and what's inappropriate behavior. So remember, we're all on the same team, and the goal is for our children to grow up into with guidance, grow up into thriving adults. And that's everybody's goal when it comes to learning technology. So a big question is, when is intervention necessary? And this is a tricky one, because this is when, privacy can feel like, or a child can feel like their privacy is being violated. And so Guardian is such a wonderful monitoring app, and it's super sensitive, and it flags a lot of things. And it's at your discretion as a parent to look at that flag and say, okay, is this just my kid being a kid? Okay, so they might have said a swear word, but it was in a positive way, and it's not harmful. It's not something that I really feel needs to be discussed. I'm going to let that one go. If there's something that Guardian flags that has to do with, inappropriate behavior, bullying, meanness or cruelness, obviously any sort of cyber safety issues, talking to strangers, people they don't know, anything of that nature, then you might want to have a discussion with your child, at that point, saying, this came up on the parent monitoring app, and I just want to discuss it with you. And I've always tried, even though like sometimes I'm really disappointed with my kids, I really try to maintain a calm demeanor, because they're learning things for the first time through trial and error, and they're going to make mistakes. And so I try to maintain a calm disposition, because I feel like my message gets heard as a parent much better. And I will tell them, okay, well, this is what happened. Maybe how do you feel? Do you feel like that you should have said this, or do you feel like you should have been communicating with this person? I try to have them problem solve why it wouldn't be safe. And I always remind them every time that the reason why I have a monitoring device on their phone is not because I don't trust them, it's because I don't trust the rest of the world. And I want to be there to help them while they develop the skills to maneuver and communicate and utilize the internet. So a lot of times I found myself realizing that my child just didn't understand what they were saying, or didn't understand exactly the consequences of what they were saying. and I'll talk to them about it, and not give any consequences or discipline for that. I'll say, we learned from it this time. Let's not do it again, and leave it at that. Now, if it happened again, then there may be some consequences or discipline needed. And a lot of times, consequences might have included, grounding. I tried to not, there were only a couple times I actually took the phone away from my child and said, you need a break from this. But, make sure that the consequences are in line with the action, in the sense that, if it's not something hugely detrimental, but they need to learn a lesson from, make sure that the consequences aren't too heavy. And it's always good to front load our children with the idea that, these are the expectations, and if the expectations aren't met, this is what's going to happen, so that they kind of know what's coming, and it's easier to prepare them for those situations. So my last thought is, as they grow, less monitoring is necessary. And I have a 17-and-a-half-year-old now, and I am very rarely involved in her internet and social media pages and things like that. We still have tons of fun looking at memes, jokes, funny TikToks, funny pictures together. And we'll talk about all kinds of things that pop up online, from political viewpoints to, random information and things like that. But, interestingly enough, she's learned, and I'm so proud of her, such great behavior online. And I've been able to use Guardian, which has flagged a few things. But lately, I haven't gotten anything flagged that's concerning. And it's given me a lot of peace of mind that I don't have a lot to worry about with her turning 18 in a few months, going off to college and being an adult. I'm proud of the fact that I feel she's developed the skills necessary to go on to develop into a thriving adult through her college experiences and whatnot. So I'm going to leave you with that last thought that, things turn out all right, because I have a 20-year-old too, and she has developed a mature voice in technology, and, technology for her right now, being in college, doing college online, is such a gift, because she has all the resources and a library right there for her, and it's given her a way to communicate with people, and she's able to attend social groups through college, and there are so many beautiful things about technology. So I want to finish there, and also say thank you again for everybody's comments. And I did want to say there were some comments that were very specific, and in today's presentation, I wanted to give you a general overview of how Guardian is a monitoring device, and it's not spying on your child. And I wanted to give a general sense of that. But there are so many different situations and so many different families out there. And I really want to be able to answer any questions or give you my input on any specifics that you have. And so I would really like to have a question and answer where you're able to bring any concerns you have to the table for discussion, and I'd be happy and proud to give you my input on any concerns you have with your child's experience on the internet and cyber safety and Guardian. And again, I want to thank Guardian for giving me this wonderful platform to talk about something so near and dear to my heart, and that's keeping our kids safe. So thanks again.
Yeah, thanks, Robyn. That was so good. Very, very informative. So as she was saying, Guardian is fantastic for keeping your child safe. When they get a phone, you can monitor all of their messages if you want to. You make sure that they are not talking to people they shouldn't be. Make sure they're not talking about inappropriate things. But Guardian will also send you AI-powered priority alerts about concerning topics that are detected in messages. So if they're being contacted by online predators or being cyberbullied, talking about drugs, and tons of other subjects, you will be alerted. So you can see how as your child gets older and earns more trust, by using Guardian, it allows you to be as hands-on or off as necessary, like as your child has earned that privacy. So as Robyn said, she had a lot of comments on her post in the Facebook group that were pretty specific. So next week, we're going to do a Q&A live stream. So if you do have specific questions, you can join, comment, and Robyn will answer them for you live. And we will probably also make a post in the Facebook group to get some preliminary questions. So if you have any questions at all that you would like to ask a psychologist about raising a child in this age of technology, then join our Facebook group, Tech Savvy Parenting, and you will be able to ask your questions there. And it's just a great community overall. Lots of parents who are dealing with the exact same thing that you are. And everyone's super positive and willing to help each other. So it's just a really, really awesome community. And as I said before, make sure you subscribe on our YouTube channel and or like us on Facebook so that you don't miss any more of these live streams. I want to thank Robyn again for coming back. It's always great to have you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And we will see you all next time.